Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the Cricket Preview Podcast with Jay and Sudeep. And we are recording this episode in the eve of the first World Cup game of Nepal against Netherlands. And it was in Dallas or Kathmandu. We don't know. The crowd was crazy in Dallas. And Netherlands won the toss, elected to field first, and everything went Netherlands' way after that. Jay, did you watch the game? Did you enjoy it?
Hello, Sudeep. It was a historic event, historic game, of course. So the excitement was there. I think it was a little bit of an anticlimax, if you ask me. But I think you have to give credit to the Netherlands. I think they were at the top of their game today, and unfortunately, our boys were not. I think, to be honest, and to give credit to the boys, I think the toss was quite important today. It had rained all day in Dallas today, especially in the morning. So there was a lot of movement in the air, and Netherlands won the toss and decided to ball first. And like you said, everything from there on went the Netherlands way. Nepal batted first, and they could only make 106 runs, which was below par on this pitch. I know it was kind of a lot of bounce there and a lot of movement. So I think up to 130, 140 could have been competitive. At least that's what we felt. But Nepal could only, they didn't even bat the whole 20 overs. So it was a sorry show. I feel bad for the crowd that were there. It was a fantastic crowd. They must be really disappointed. I was it from home, and I was quite disappointed. Uh, Other than Rohit Paudel, who made 35, nobody could stay in the crease for long from the batting lineup, and only when it went to Gulshan Jah and Karan Casey, who made some decent scores, especially Karan Casey. I think he's the only batter who scored with a strike rate of more than 100. He hit two sixes. So it was disappointing effort from the bat. I think the bowlers have to be praised because they gave everything, and they kind of restricted Netherlands and took the game to almost the last over. But eventually, I think the fielding effort was not good enough. Otherwise, I think we could still have made more fist out of it. Even though I think Netherlands still have some advantage, they chased the game. Max Dowd made a half century, and he was supported by Engelbrecht and Van de Beek. So I think overall, the first game after 10 long years, the World Cup, it is still a historic event, but there is some disappointment, of course, I'm sure, with all the Nepali fans. So, Sudeep, where did it go wrong with Nepal, especially with the batting today?
I think we were talking about it before the game. Like toss was very much crucial with the rain and the overshadowed conditions, and we were expecting our boys to bowl first, but luckily that's not in our control. We had to bat first. Again, disappointing start with the openers. We had uh, felt like for a while like Kushal Bhutte was in form, but he lost his wicket again. So again, disappointing start with the opening batting. I was expecting Rohit at number three, but he came down at four. He stabilized the inning, but nothing around him, as you said. Nobody. I think it was the World Cup pressure, and I think the pressure of the 12th man as well there, because the crowd was all Nepal, and sometimes it works in your favor, and sometimes it goes against you. I think the boys felt the pressure. They could not rotate the strike. There were boundaries coming in each over almost, but they could not rotate the strike. So the overs that could have been 7, 8 runs over it were just four. So I think that was, and that gave more confidence to the Netherlands bowler because they were pitching in the same area again and again. Nepal didn't make an effort to take a risk and kept losing wicket. And from the beginning, we saw the ball on the offside was swinging, and players were playing from their crease, just standing away. And it was scary in the beginning looking at them, the way they were playing the shots away from their body. But again, kudos to Rohit. He was my go-to player in my team, so I was very happy with his performance. If there was a support, I think he could have gone with a little more strike rate, but he could not help anyways. And again, Karan Casey, two sixes in the end. We crossed 100 because of that. He's the only player, as you said, with more than 100 strike rate in the team. So Nepal really has to work a little bit more in their batting. I can see the scorecard going on. Uh, a very few boundaries that was just force, and I knew that the hitting big sixes is going to be challenge for Team Nepal in those grounds. But rotating strike was another disappointing thing, and I'm sure Monty Desai will be taking notes on those things and asking players to rotate more strike. And the next game Nepal's going to play is going to be more tough, more tough bowling lineup, more pace, more swing. So I'm sure boys are going to work on that. I think that was all. There was not much to talk about batting. How did you take the batting? Did you see anything different, or could have been done different?
Not really. I think once we lost those early wickets, it was always going to be difficult, especially with the ball swinging so much. And our batters have played a lot in the past, but it was mostly in the flat wickets. But whenever there has been some hint of swing, I think they have struggled, especially to rotate strike, like you mentioned, but also hit those boundaries that they are so accustomed to hitting at the TU cricket ground. So I think I agree with you. I was expecting Rohit Pauril to bat at three, and maybe Anil Kumar Shah or Sandeep Johra to come at four. So that didn't happen. They went without Sandeep Johra, so that was one major talking point when it comes to batting. But I think uh, basically the top order, whole top order, disappointed really, and you have to give great credit to the Netherlands bowler. It was not easy to control the swing, but they did it quite well. They only bowled, I think, two or three extras, so that was quite commendable. The left arm spinner Pringle also bowled really well. I thought, well, if there's some swing, maybe we can target the left arm spinner or any kind of spin attack they offer, but that also didn't happen because he kept taking wickets. So I think overall you have to give credit to the Netherlands. They looked better prepared for the conditions, and I think they used the toss to their advantage. Uh, I think despite having a low score, the bowlers did put up some fight. I think we did get some early wickets, and we pretty much kind of kept the run rate in check. They did hit some boundaries now and then, but it was not a flow of boundaries. So I think you have to credit the bowlers. Everyone bowled well. But I think the main talking point, and I think the thing that disappointed every Nepali fan the most was the fielding. I think we dropped too many catches. We were sloppy in the field. We missed some run out opportunities. I think that is something that was quite disappointing because even Andrew Leonard mentioned before the game that Nepal's fielding is going to be electric. And when I saw the game at TU, it was electric. So I think I'm hoping it was one off because like you mentioned, the pressure of the big game, the nervousness from the fan could have got to them, but they will have to work on those pretty quickly because we are playing a day-night game against Sri Lanka next, and it's going to be even more challenging because we don't have a lot of fielding experience under lights. So I think fielding is an issue, but other than that, do you think we could have done anything different on the field or with the ball today?
I think that was a surprise for everyone. Nepal's fielding drop catches. We don't see that often nowadays in Nepal's case, but we'll talk about that in detail and Nepal's bowling as well. But how good do you think with Netherlands, with their bowling, we already talked a little bit about it, and their fielding especially, they took all the catches and their ground fielding was fabulous.
Absolutely. I think they bowled really well. I think they hit the channels and they didn't give too many loose balls to Nepali batters throughout the innings. Even the sixes that Karan Casey hit was off the good length ball. So that shows really how good and disciplined their bowling was. They had plenty of medium pacers, and they utilized. I think they went with four medium pacers, looking at the pitch and also the conditions, and I think they were spot on. I think all the bowlers bowled really well, and I think yeah, the Nepali batsmen struggled throughout the innings. So I think you have to give a great credit to their bowling lineup and also their planning.
So coming back to Nepal's bowling, I will give you a tough question. Uh, Lalit Rajbanshi, out and out spinner for Nepal, has played 21 T20 games. We have been playing Lalit Rajbanshi all and all out. What could have been thinking behind picking Sagar Dalkar in front of Lalit? What do you think?
Yeah, I was expecting Lily to play the first game definitely because of the past experience, and he's done nothing wrong. If you ask me, he's bowled quite well, but I think the team management went with Sagar, especially from his performances against the West Indies. He was quite impressive. He took some wickets there, And I think in the warm-up games, I think he took some wickets, and Lalit was wicketless in some of the games. So I think that may have tilted the decision towards Sagar. I was still hoping that Lalit gets the game before him because of his experience. But yeah, that was, I think, along with Sandeep Zora not starting, that was another surprise for me, definitely in the lineup. So I think at the end of the day, I think the total was quite low. So even if he had played, I don't think it would have changed too much because Sagar didn't bowl too badly. But yeah, that was definitely something that the management will be thinking going forward against the other teams for sure.
Yeah, and I think as we talk about Nepal is the youngest team, the average age of the Nepalese players is 23 with the youngest captain. So I think some of the experience of Lalit Rajbanshi would have definitely helped. Nothing against Sagar. He bowled very well. Whatever the given runs were there, bowlers bowled absolutely well. If there would have been those two catches, the game would have been really interesting. I was really hoping until the end that Nepal can pull that off. But I think we will have to talk a little bit more about the fielding. Uh, do you think it's an off day and we are not going to drop? Because the ground fielding was good in the beginning. Like the commentators were on the up because they were cheering. There were players were surrounding the batsman. The energy was crazy. Ground fielding was going good. Where do you think they lost it and started some misfilling in the ground and catches?
Yeah, it was a strange one because I mean the players who dropped the catches, including the captain Rohit Pauril, is not someone who you expect to drop those catches because he's really good in the field. So I think it was one of the off days. We have to because even though I think they lost some confidence from the batting. The score on the board kind of put them under pressure, and with that amount of crowd, sometimes they felt that they let down the crowd, and I think their focus was maybe not entirely on the game, and yeah, thinking about those kind of things, which can happen because it's a big occasion. It's a World Cup, and they're playing World Cup after 10 long years. So I think I'm hoping they will be more settled in the next game, although it's going to be tricky to take catches under the lights. So that's I hope that the Monty Desai and the team can work on that because I think the more catches you take off the game, the more easier it gets. So I'm really hoping that it is one of the off days. And like you mentioned, on the ground fielding overall, it was pretty good. So I think we can take a lot of hope and positives from that, definitely.
Yeah, and so yeah, overall bowling it was a low scoring total. We expected that kind of game. It's good that Nepal is not behind in the run rate yet. If anything has to happen in the group going ahead, and Sri Lanka has lost a big game in the group against South Africa. So I think we are still doing okay. We can still keep the hopes high. Still, we have to play the big teams like likes of Sri Lanka and South Africa and even Bangladesh going ahead. Uh, what do you think we are playing next game in Florida, a day-night game, as you said, against a very good side of Sri Lanka? What do you think? Do you see any changes in the team?
Uh, I I don't know because I was hoping to see Sandeep Jora in this game. So I think if there is going to be one change in the batting lineup, he might come back. Although it would be kind of unfair to Anil to just drop him after one game. So I'm not sure. I think the only place where I can see more changes is bowling. To be honest, like you mentioned, Lalit could get a game against Sri Lanka and maybe a left arm seamer because it's a day night game and it could swing again under the light. So maybe Karan Casey, who didn't get a lot of swing today, might get rested for that game. And but I think with his batting, it's going to be difficult to rest him also. So I think it's going to be an unchanged team, if you ask me. And it might be fair to give them another chance against a big team and hope they perform because dropping anyone after just one game is going to be kind of unfair. Maybe after two games, you assess the situation and you go to West Indies, so more spin-friendly conditions. You can have Lalit back in the team and maybe change the combinations around that. But I think for the next game, at least, I don't see them making a lot of changes. Maybe one or two tweaks here and there, depending on the conditions in Florida. But yeah, other than that, I don't expect a lot of changes, if you ask me, even with the defeat. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly, because this was not that we were outplayed. It was a close and close game. Even Netherlands were struggling to bat. The positive thing for the Netherlands was like they knew what they were chasing. So it was easy for them to pace. They didn't play any rash shots. They just change the strike. So that's why like I'm okay with not changing the team. And if anything goes wrong, we can play a new side in the West Indies. We can make few changes in the West Indies. This was all about the Nepal playing the first game in the World Cup after 10 years. Everyone were very excited. Even we were very excited. How happy you were looking in the crowd in Dallas. It didn't feel like Dallas at all.
Definitely. I think if there was a big highlight or a big positive coming to Nepal from this game, is definitely the crowd. I think the crowd were absolutely amazing to have a sellout crowd in Dallas at 10:30 start in a weekday. So that's pretty impressive. And not only people from Dallas, but all over the United States flocked to Dallas to see the Nepal play live on such a big occasion. So, and they cheered the team throughout, even though the performance was not what they expected. So I think you have to give a lot of kudos to the fan who travel, and also the fans who watched it from different parts of the world, including home, because we saw pictures of the live screening back home in Tudikil. It was quite jam-packed, and also in other cities like Pokhara and Biratnagar. So there were people watching the games on big screen and supporting. Even you have to mention that it was almost past midnight back home. So people were there supporting the team throughout the game. So that was, I think, that really put Nepal in the map. And I think you can see that ICC and all the commentators were praising that. And I think that's really putting a good impression of Nepal, especially the fans of Nepal across the cricketing world. So I think that's really a positive we can take from this game. And I'm sure even in Florida, we'll have a big contingent of Nepali people in the next game. So I think no matter what the result's going to be, I think the fans will always be there and supporting the team, because like we saw one board in Dallas today, it's about the journey, and the journey that the team has been on has been incredible. So I think that's definitely the highlight of the day, and it's going to be one of the highlights of this World Cup for sure. So it
Yeah,
was
exactly.
impressive.
And the crowd were like when Rohit Paudel dropped the catch, the crowd were motivating him. They were praising him. I saw the crowd clapping for him just to keep the hopes high, because this has been a very, very long journey, and we have been waiting for this very first game for a long, long time. So crowds were incredible, and I'm sure they are going to be incredible in Florida as well. And it's a day, it's a night game, so that's going to be more crazy and more wonderful to watch for. So with this, there are lots of games going on. We'll of course cover other games as well. So for now, we hope Nepal plays to their best level in the next game. Thank you for watching us, and please like, subscribe. Jay, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, and yeah, let's keep supporting Team Nepal, and I'm hopeful that a victory is not too far. So thank you, everyone, and see you in the next one.